This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. Today is Tuesday of the 5th week of Easter. Our first reading is taken from Acts chapter 14, verses 19 to 28. In those days, some Jews from Antioch and Iconium arrived and won over the crowds. They stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing that he was dead. But when the disciples gathered around him, he got up and entered the city. On the following day, he left with Barnabas for Derbe. After they had proclaimed the good news to that city and made a considerable number of disciples, they returned to Lystra and to Iconium and to Antioch. They strengthened the spirits of the disciples and exhorted them to persevere in the faith, saying, "It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships to enter the kingdom of God." They appointed presbyters for them in each church, and with prayer and fasting commended them to the Lord in whom they had put their faith. Then they traveled through Pisidia and reached Pamphylia. After proclaiming the word at Perga, they went down to Italia. From there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been commended to the grace of God for the work they had now accomplished. And when they arrived, they called the church together and reported what God had done with them and how he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. Then they spent no little time with the disciples. So here we have Paul's first missionary journey coming to a close. He returns right back to Antioch, where he started out from. Along the way, Paul is going to encounter some hardship, like being stoned. People thinking they stoned him to death, but somehow he gets up and keeps going. And then he makes this commentary. It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships to enter the kingdom of God, exhorting the people to persevere in their faith. It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships. One of the things that we have to understand is that as we live our earthly life, there will be times when we are going to be pushed right to our limits. We're going to be tested, and it's going to be hard. One of the things we need to understand with our eyes open is that that's part of the journey. There are parts of the adventure of living one's life where we will be telling stories about this for the rest of our days because it was hard. It was difficult. We weren't sure how it was going to end. And Paul makes it clear. Persevere. Keep going. Hardship will be part of the journey. That begs a question, right? Well, where do we find our strength? Where do we find what we need to keep going and hang in there? And you have it in the gospel. One of the most beautiful passages. This is John chapter 14, verses 27 to 31a. Jesus said to his disciples, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give it to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid. You heard me tell you I am going away and I will come back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it happens, so that when it happens you may believe. I will no longer speak much with you, for the ruler of the world is coming. He has no power over me, but the world must know that I love the Father, and that I do just as the Father has commanded me. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid." We will go through the hardships of this life, persevering in our faith, because we call for the peace of Christ to dwell in our hearts. One of the fruits of the Spirit, to calm us and focus us to face whatever comes our way with God's help, with God's grace. And so for these two very, very powerful passages to be held together, that hardships are part of life and we face it with the peace of Christ. Folks, what are the hardships we're facing right now? Just got to name them. Take that to prayer. Clearly, we're called to pray for our needs and the needs of those that we know and love. Pray, especially for those hardships. But then secondly, pray for the peace that Christ leaves for us. Invite the peace of Christ into your heart. Ask the Lord to strengthen and foster your peace so that you, trusting in God, persevering in faith, will face the hardship of this day. We know that there will be some rough patches on the road, but we also know that God walks with us, giving us peace, giving us strength for every step of the journey. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew, and I hope this podcast inspires your faith. Now, if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend, and you can help me by leaving a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask for your prayers in return. God bless you, my friends.